Welcome back to the Pitwall Pod, where racing meets reality. I'm Hannah, and today we're diving into one of the most electrifying weekends of the season, the 2025 Singapore Grand Prix. Under the Marina Bay lights, strategy, sweat, and pure chaos took center stage. From surprise pit calls to last lap heartbreaks and maybe even a little drama off track, we've got it all. So buckle up, grab a cold drink, and let's relive the race that never fails to deliver. Free practice one. Alright, let's kick things off with free practice one here in Singapore. And let me tell you, this session had it all. Humidity, drama, and one very fired up Fernando Alonso. That's right, the 44-year-old Aston Martin driver topped the timing sheet with a 1:31.116, leading Charles Leclerc by just tenth of a second and Max Verstappen by 0.2 of a second. Not bad for a man who's been racing longer than some of these rookies have been alive. The conditions were classic Singapore: hot, sticky, and just shy of a sauna. The FIA even issued a heat hazard declaration, meaning every car ran with a special driver cooling system, and still you could almost feel the sweat through the TV. Early on it was chaos in the pits for Alex Albon, smoke coming from the back of his Williams, fire extinguishers out, and his session over before it even began. The team later confirmed it was a rear brake hardware issue, not ideal on a street circuit that's already brutal on brakes. Meanwhile, out on track, drivers were finding the limits fast. Pierre Gasly overshot turn 14, Lewis Hamilton flirted with the wall, and Lando Norris had a moment with turn 17. Classic Marina Bay vibes. As the track involved, Alonso set the early pace on the mediums before Leclerc and Verstappen joined the fight on softs. But in the end, Alonso fight back with that 1:31.116, snatching P1 right before the checkered flag. Behind the top three, it was Hamilton and Ford, and McLaren's Oscar Piastri rounding out the top five, just edging teammate Norris after brushing the wall in the final minutes. Isaac Hadjar impressed again in P7, while both Mercedes drivers had a low-key start, Russell in P11 and Antonelli down in P14. So if P1 wraps up with Alonso on top, Leclerc right there and Verstappen lurking, and with the night session still to come, you know everyone's holding back just a little. Free practice 2. Welcome back everyone. Let's talk about free practice 2 here at the Marina Bay Circuit, where the drama didn't wait for Sunday. This was one of those sessions where you didn't know whether to watch the timing screens or the chaos unfold on track. And at the top when the dust, or should I say debris, settled, Oscar Piastri, the McLaren driver clocked a 1:30.714, finishing ahead of rookie sensation Isaac Hadjar, who was just a tenth of a second behind, and Max Verstappen rounding out the top three. Fernando Alonso, still keeping yet Aston Martin sharp, took fourth, with Lando Norris in fifth after quite a roller coaster of a session. Now, let's rewind a bit. The FP2 had everything: two red flags, a pit lane collision, and plenty of near misses. It started cleanly enough with cooler evening conditions and Nico Hulkenberg leading the pack out right as the lights came on. But George Russell brought out the first red flag after tagging the wall at turn 16, breaking his front wing, and scattering carbon fiber everywhere. He came on the radio like, "That was weird, and honestly, George, we agree." When the action resumed, drivers wasted no time switching to the softs. Esteban Ocon briefly went P1 with a tidy 1:31.480, only for Liam Lawson to bring out red flag number 2 after smacking the wall out of turn 17. His racing bus stopped awkwardly near the pit entry, which made things even messier. And just when you thought that was enough drama, Cue the pit lane chaos as Ferrari released Charles Leclerc alongside Lando Norris. The two made contact. Norris clipped the pit wall, broke his front wing, and had to push back into the garage. His radio message: "He just drove straight into me." Classic Lando delivery. Ferrari later got slapped with a 10,000 fine for unsafe release, not the kind of fine-tuning they had in mind for FP2. Once everyone calmed down and got back on track, Piastri delivered when it mattered, a blistering lap that put him comfortable clear at the top. Behind him, Isaac Hadjar continued to oppress in that Racing Bulls car, while Verstappen quietly did Verstappen things, staying right in the mix without taking any risk. Further down, Alonso looked quick again in P4, and Lance Stroll wasn't far behind in 6th, making it a strong session for Aston Martin overall. The Ferraris round out the top 10, though both Leclerc and Hamilton seemed to be fighting balance issues. Meanwhile, Mercedes had a rough evening. Russell down in P20 after his crash, Antonelli in P18, not exactly the Friday they'd hoped for. So after a wild FP2, it's Piastri who takes the bragging rights heading into Saturday. McLaren looked sharp, Aston Martin's pace is real, and Ferrari, well, they've got some repairs and some explaining to do. Free practice 3. Alright, race fans, it's FP3, the final practice before qualifying in Singapore, and the stakes are high. This hour was all about fine-tuning setups, testing soft tires, and seeing who is truly ready to fight for pole. By the end of the session, it was Max Verstappen who claimed top spot with a 1:30.148, just 1/100th of a second ahead of Oscar Piastri. Yes, McLaren's young gun is still right in the hunt. George Russell round out top 3, showing Mercedes is quietly competitive despite their Friday struggles. The session started relatively calm with Haas leading the early laps on mediums. Lando Norris was first to make waves with a 1:31.021, prompting his engineer to cheekily say, "Welcome back," but the calm didn't last. Liam Lawson hit the wall at turn 8, bringing out the red flag yet again, a reminder that Singapore never makes it easy. As the session resumed, the soft tires came into play. Alex Albon briefly slid into second before getting shuffled down with Kimi Antonelli posted a 1:30.760, showing Mercedes has some pace. Meanwhile, FP1 leader Fernando Alonso had to limp his Aston Martin home with just over 15 minutes remaining, putting a damper on his weekend momentum. The final sprint to the checkered flag saw Leclerc initially topping the charts on softs, only to be displaced first by Norris, then by Verstappen. Traffic was a factor, too. Verstappen had a close call with Franco Colapinto, but he held on to P1. Piastri's late lap was fast enough to lock into second, just 1/100th of a second behind. Behind the top 5, it was Antonelli fourth, Norris fifth, Sainz sixth, and Isaac Hadjar continued his impressive weekend in P7. Hamilton, still under investigation for a red flag infringement, was eighth, with Hulkenberg and Leclerc rounding out the top 10. Further down, Albon, Bortoleto, Ocon, Behrman, and Alonso completed the order, with Lance Stroll, Yuki Tsunoda, Pierre Gasly, and Lawson bringing up the rear. So as we wrap FP3, Verstappen sets the pace, Piastri is right on his tail, and Russell looks strong for Mercedes. The big question: can Piastri convert this McLaren pace into pole, or will Red Bull and Verstappen have the last laugh in qualifying? Here we go, race fans. Qualifying for the Singapore Grand Prix under the spectacular Marina Bay floodlights. And wow, did George Russell deliver a masterclass? After topping Q2, Russell carried his momentum into Q3, putting in a stunning 1:29.165 on his first flying lap. Despite a slight tap on the wall at turn 17, the Brit kept his focus and shaved off a few thousandths to 1:29.150 5.8, securing pole for the second time this season. Mercedes, who had a rocky FP2, suddenly looked like they mean business. Red Bull's Max Verstappen came up just tenths short, clearly frustrated over the radio. He seemed to hit traffic on that last lap. Oscar Piastri led the McLaren charge in third, trying to maintain his championship advantage, with Kimi Antonelli and Lando Norris rounding out the top five. Ferrari didn't just have the pace tonight, finishing sixth and seventh, with Lewis Hamilton a tenth ahead of Charles Leclerc, who recovered from a Q2 scare to make his it through. Qualifying wasn't without its drama. In Q1, Hamilton went a little deep at turn 1. Verstappen set an early benchmark, and Piastri had to abort a lap due to a yellow flag. In Q2, Antonelli pulled a lap out of nowhere and briefly before Russell and Verstappen reasserted themselves. Several midfield drivers like Hadjar, Alonso and Behrman impressed under pressure, while others like Hulkenberg, Albon and Lawson narrowly missed out on Q3. But the headline, George Russell stunning the field with a brilliant pole under the lights, Verstappen chasing Piastri in third, and the stage is set for a thrilling night race in Singapore. Race day in Singapore delivered fireworks, drama and championship history. George Russell converted his stunning pole into a dominant victory, leading from start to finish and taking his second win of the season, fifth career triumph overall. The start saw Russell pull cleanly away from pole, while Lando Norris immediately got aggressive, clipping Max Verstappen the Red Bull and tangling with teammate Oscar Piastri. Norris managed to get past Piastri, though the incident sparked some tension over team radio. Piastri wasn't too happy. Up front, Russell was untouchable. Verstappen fought hard for P2 with Norris close behind and Piastri in fourth. Despite the mid-race pit stop reshuffle and the slow stop for Piastri, McLaren secured enough points to claim the 2025 team championship for the second year running, a huge milestone for the Woking squad. Mercedes also had a solid showing with Kimi Antonelli finishing fifth. Ferrari struggled to keep pace. Charles Leclerc crossed sixth and Lewis Hamilton initially seventh, but was later demoted to eighth following a post-race 5-second penalty for exceeding track limits. Fernando Alonso moved up to seventh, while Haas, Ollie Behrman and Carlos Sainz completed the top 10. Behind the leaders, it was a mix of grid strategy. Verstappen reported downshift issues mid-race, Alonso fought through traffic to challenge Hadjar, and Russell had to navigate blue flags as he lapped back markers. But in the end, Russell's performance was flawless. Verstappen held on to P2, and Norris' aggressive race secured both a podium and a historic team victory for McLaren. The race highlights: Russell dominates from pole, flawless Mercedes performance, McLaren clinches the team championship, back-to-back titles. On the track drama, Norris clips Verstappen and battles Piastri. Verstappen holds P2 despite technical issues, and Hamilton penalized Alonso promoted to P7. A key word from the winner after the race: "It feels amazing, especially after that what happened a couple of years ago," said Russell. "That was a bit of a missed opportunity, but we more than made up for it today. I'm so grateful for the team. They did an amazing job this whole weekend. We don't really know where this performance came from, but I'm really happy." Drivers' Championship: Oscar Piastri with 336 points, Lando Norris with 314 points, Max Verstappen with 273 points, George Russell 237 points, and Charles Leclerc with 173 points. Teams Championship: McLaren with 650 points, championship winner, Mercedes 325 points, Ferrari 298 points, Red Bull 290, and Williams 102. And that wraps up an incredible Singapore Grand Prix, from Alonso's early FP1 pace through drama-filled practice sessions to Russell's stunning pole and ultimate race victory. This weekend had it all: speed, strategy, and historic teams championship for McLaren. But the F1 action doesn't stop here. What's next? The championship heads to Austin for the United States Grand Prix, taking place over the weekend of October 17 to 19. Make sure to check out the race hub to see how you can follow all the high octane actions stateside. Thanks for joining us for this episode. I'm Hannah and we'll be back soon with more F1 insights, analysis, and behind the scenes stories from the grid. Until then, keep your engines running and your eyes on the track.